Welcome to Irrelevant Brats,
Episode
6.
6.
Drunk and high in the wild.
Yeah, but before we talk about that...
That's a bit random, but hey,
Yeah, drunk and high in the wild. Before we talk about that, we have a... Oh my god, I have to go all the way back. We have an answer to last week's question of the week.
Yeah.
So last week's question of the week was, how much sperm does a blue whale produce? It is 20 litres.
Jeepers.
20 litres of sperm. That's a lot of sperm.
Lots of little babies.
Yeah.
Nice.
To be fair,
cool,
a lot of whales and stuff don't have the easiest time of copulating, so they often have to produce large amounts to ensure that it works. I have an extra fun fact, which is that their penis is 2.4 meters in length.
Wow.
That's taller than a human being. 2.4
That's considerably taller than a human being.
Yeah.
Not even just a little bit.
Groot, eh?
It's a groot boy, eh?
Groot boy. But yeah, so as James introduced, I'll let him go again. We are talking about, because we talk about love, when you're in love, you're love drunk. So this week,
really?
So this week we're talking about being drunk and high in the wild.
That was one of our first ideas, eh?
Yeah, it was actually one of our first ideas.
With us bouncing ideas back and forth from
We
each
have
other.
a whole...
One of the first things we said was drunk and high animals and stuff
funny.
in the wild. Because it's hilarious.
It's hilarious,
and we want to
dude.
make this podcast hilarious.
Hilarious, yeah. But yeah, no, drunk and high. With this episode and kind of with next episode, we film episodes 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But kind of with next episode, I think for you as well. These next 2 episodes are a little bit more focused on animals than they are on plants, which we'll get to. I mean, obviously, the things, drunk and high plants do come into play, but we're going to be looking at more from the focus of animals being drunk and high, as opposed to plant. I don't know how a plant would be drunk or high.
How would you know, is the thing.
Yeah, how would you know?
How would you know that this plant is high?
Maybe it would just do like a freaky little dance, or like its leaves would curl up weirdly. Maybe it would change color. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's why we kind of stuck to the animals thing, because their behavioral changes are very obvious.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, this is going to be a fun one. I've got 2 crazy ones. Not that crazy. They're a little wild.
I've got 2 mammals, so...
I have 2 mammals as well, but the one is kind of crazy.
Okay.
Well, do you want to start?
No, you go first.
Okay. I have wallabies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a specific kind of wallaby, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I have wallabies on opium.
On opium, okay.
On opium. So for those of you that don't know, opium, more commonly known to the average human being as morphine or codeine, is basically one of the strongest natural drugs that we have. So opium is from the opium poppy, which is Papaver somniferum. So somniferum comes from somnum in Latin, which means to sleep. Because if you take enough of it, you will sleep for a very long time and probably not wake up. But that's fine. So opium poppies are...
But that's fine.
Opium poppies were originally, if I'm not mistaken, from the Middle Eastern Mediterranean region. Okay. They're from the Mediterranean areas, and they very quickly spread when humans discovered them because they have very strong effects. The opioid crisis in America is from opioid derivatives. There was an opioid crisis in the Chinese dynasty 1,000 years ago that was devastating. It wiped out huge amounts of people because people were just so addicted to it. So that the opium poppy, the opium or opiate is found present in the poppy seeds. And something that I found really, really cool about opium poppies is that they poppy seeds, pharmaceutical opium, and there's some other derivatives that they get from it that's also for different pharmaceutical things, not painkillers, are all from the exact same species.
Okay.
They just selectively breed them. So poppy seeds are selectively bred so that they have less alkaloids present in them. Obviously, opium poppies are bred to have more alkaloids in them. Funny enough, I actually didn't realize that most opium used in the pharmaceutical industry is actually naturally derived. I thought we chemically synthesized most of it.
Okay, so
we actually naturally derive it from plants, and Tasmania, which is an island off of Australia, yes? Yes. It's a part of Australia, but they kind of separate them. Tasmania or Australia.
Yeah.
That's what everything said. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Tell me that I'm wrong in the comments. But Tasmania is the world's largest opium poppy producer in the world.
Okay.
It produces about half of the opium derivative products, whether it's poppy seeds, pharmaceutical opiums, or the other alkaloids that they extract from it. And there's an island in Tasmania called Bruny Island, okay? And on this island, they have a very, very special wallaby.
Okay.
And this wallaby is the Bennett's wallaby, and it's also a special subspecies of Bennett's wallabies. Here's the scientific name. Macropus rophogrissus. And it is the cutest wallaby you'll ever... Also, I didn't really know that wallabies kind of look like small kangaroos.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. I actually, in my head, a wallaby was like a rat.
No.
I don't know why in my head a wallaby was like a rat, but that's
okay.
That's what I thought a wallaby
Australia
was.
is random, not that random. Okay.
Yeah, so when I saw the photo of it, I was like, wait, that's what a wallaby looks like?
Yeah.
I was so confused. But it's a white coat wallaby.
Okay.
So they're not albino because they have dark eyes, but they have a beautiful, pristine white coat. They're gorgeous and so cute. Anyway, around 2009, the farmers on Bruny Island started to notice these weird crop circles popping up in their poppy fields.
Yeah.
Where the crops had been trampled in these circles in the poppy fields. And they could not figure it out. They were like, we don't know why this is happening. And so what a lot of people did in those days was they set up cameras to check. And also had like people watching the fields morning and night and to try and... They basically just kept an eye on their fields. And what they noticed was these lovely Bennett's wallabies were jumping around manically in circles.
Yeah.
Before crashing and like falling asleep in the field, and then they'd get up a while later and they'd run off. Basically what was happening was that they would munching on the poppy seeds.
Okay.
And getting so high that they would run around in circles. And I read a whole paper on it. They have no idea why they jump around in circles or hop around in circles. But a bunch of research done on animals getting a little bit spicy with the sauce have found that it's a regular behavior in mammals that they will run or move in circles when high.
Okay.
So sheep, who also sometimes feed on the poppy seeds in these Bruny Island poppy fields, also will run around in circles. And they don't know specifically why, but yeah, it's not a super common occurrence. It's not like it's happening every day.
Yeah.
But they have found that some of them do develop a habit of it.
Okay.
So they do develop a poppy munching habit. And it's very funny to see. It's a very funny sight. The only problem with it is unfortunately they can struggle to find water and get very disorientated.
Yeah.
And if it takes them too long to find water, they can...
R.I.P.
R.I.P. R.I.P. the beautiful white wallaby. That rhymed. I'm so proud of myself. But yeah, that's kind of the it's kind of short. There's not really much else I can say about it. But yeah, I just thought, one, they're beautiful, and two, I thought that was so funny. And like it was really funny because there was like a senator or a parliamentary person who like addressed, because the crop trampling was like a serious issue, and they had to like address it formally, and they were like, we don't really know how to stop it or what to do about it. But it seems it's not as common anymore, but maybe they put the wallabies in more protective areas.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so maybe also just protecting the crops a little bit more from the wallabies themselves.
But I thought that was funny.
That is hilarious.
What are you going to tell me about, James?
I'm going to tell you about Rudolf, who can't do his job during Christmas.
Okay.
So
Rudolf, the drunk uncle at the party.
Rudolf?
The drunk uncle.
Let's say Rudolf's cousin.
Rudolf's cousin, okay.
Who is the drunk creepy uncle at the Christmas party.
Drunk creepy uncle at the Christmas party.
So basically there are reindeer in Northern Europe, Northern America, Greenland and Iceland that
where you find reindeer
have been known to eat mushrooms.
Mushrooms. What kind? What species of
mushrooms? So it's actually the quite iconic red and white mushroom that you see in the movies, but it's called the fly agaric mushroom.
Okay, fly
called,
agaric.
Jeepers. Scientific name, Amanita muscaria. Okay. And
they're poisonous. They're highly poisonous.
They're poisonous to humans.
Yeah, very poisonous to humans.
But the reindeer have a way of fermenting it in their stomachs because they're foregut fermenters.
Okay, yeah.
Like a cow. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. Basically, they can digest grasses and that kind of stuff really, really well and get every single bit of nutrients out of it.
Can I slightly derail for one second?
Okay.
I found out recently, like a month ago, that deer and antelope are not the same family. I think I told you.
Yeah,
they're not the same family. Yeah,
I was there.
I was so shocked when I found out. I was like, "What do you mean they're not the same family?" Cool thing, deers are ruminants. Ruminants are so cool.
Yeah.
They're gassy boys though. Yo, they fart a lot.
And they burp. Yeah,
well. They're very gassy. Okay, keep going. I want to know about the mushrooms.
With these reindeer on the mushrooms, people in the area basically noticed that there was quite a lot of behavioral changes, but they're very specific. So basically they walk around aimlessly.
Yeah.
So there's a sense, whenever you see an animal, there's always a sense of they're looking for food or they're looking for water or a mate or something. But these reindeer were just walking around.
They're like a drunk girl in high heels.
They make very odd, deep noises. So it's like a rumble noise. And people also noticed that they have head twitching. So their heads start to twitch when they're high on these mushrooms.
Do they have drug-seeking behavior? Do they seek them out?
So I was just gonna say that actually is that they're known to go to the reindeer are known to go to great lengths to find these mushrooms. So basically, addiction is a real thing for them because they really want to go into this feeling. But basically, people have hypothesized that it's a hallucinogen. So it makes them see things that aren't really there, and it makes them feel like really happy and really good. But basically, these mushrooms contain ibotenic acid and muscinol. I don't really know what those toxins do, but apparently that's what specifically targets their brain as
kills us.
Yeah, well,
yeah, these mushrooms are hella toxic
to humans.
There is a fun saying in the wild that if it's red, you'll likely be dead. So don't eat red things. Anyway.
So yeah, that's what I have on.
That's hilarious, though.
Creepy cousin uncle.
Creepy cousin uncle.
Who can't do his job of delivering presents because he's high.
I mean, the research the two ones that I have, there isn't like super often. It doesn't occur super often.
Yeah.
But is there any research of them like overdosing?
So it's they haven't seen any cases of them overdosing. I think it's kind of like the reindeer will eat enough to get that feeling and then walk around aimlessly and do its own thing. But yeah, I mean, it's possible. You know, with any drugs we've seen in humans, it is possible to overdose.
Yeah.
The question is, do the reindeer overdose?
Okay. If you were desperate to get something, James, how far would you go to get it?
It depends on what it is.
Would you grind
something
down your teeth to the gum to get it?
Probably no.
Okay, so speaking of drug-seeking behavior, this one is very understudied, and partly it's understudied because the thing that is druggy is very, very rare.
Okay.
So I'm talking about bighorn sheep and narcotic lichen.
Mm-hmm.
Bighorn sheep, you know, the
ones with the quite a lot of headbutting.
Yeah,
normally
they're pretty aggressive. They're the symbol for Aries, which is my star sign. Okay. Not that you needed to know that, but anyway, so they munch on this rare narcotic lichen.
Mm-hmm.
It grows in green and yellow patches. It is an extremely slow growing lichen is part of the fungus family. In episode 2, I was like, I can't remember if lichen is part of the plant family. It's part of the fungi family.
Okay.
Lichen's really, really cool. A lot of forms of lichen produce pure oxygen, which not even plants do.
Okay.
So the air around like a lichen is like super, super pure oxygen, which is, it's not all lichens, but some of them. Anyway, so they munch on this, they scrape it off of rocks, and it's super slow growing, so it takes 1,000 years to grow 1 square meter.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It is extremely slow growing.
Yeah.
And they have noticed that when bighorn sheep munch on it, there's an entire book on animals getting high and drunk.
Really?
There is a guy who found every instance he could of animals getting high and drunk. It's by some... I'll put his name up on the screen, but it's Robert something. Robert something. It's RR.
What a legend.
It's such a legend. I found a digital copy of it and I was scanning through it. Apparently, sheep have a serious drug issue because there was like an entire 4 or 5 pages just on sheep.
Okay.
But yeah... guys, sheep they get wild. But they've been noticed to get extremely ill after consuming it and go a bit mad. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, it's typically the females that seek it out, not the males.
Okay.
And they can get like quite aggressive and act really strangely, and they'll like move really weirdly, and often they get quite aggressive and they just like essentially go a bit mad. Mm-hmm. They have theorized that it is a narcotic lichen.
Okay.
So narcotics are... cocaine is a narcotic. Mm-hmm. So it kind of works similarly to cocaine from what I read. But yeah, they scrape the rock with their teeth and they will literally get so intent on finding it that they will grind their teeth down to the gums trying to scrape more off of the rocks.
Jesus.
So it's like hectic the lengths they will go to access this.
You want to talk addiction?
Yeah, you want to talk addiction.
The sheep need that stuff.
And they will also, it grows in really rare to find places, which lichen often does. It grows in places where nothing else will grow.
Yeah.
And so they will travel extreme lengths and distances to find it.
Okay.
Like extreme, and they will go up. This particular species of sheep often sticks in groups.
Yeah.
And they will separate from their group just to find it and climb up mountains. And they're also like mountain sheep, so they can climb on those. Have you seen those photos of mountain goats? And it's like, it's literally
the
like a finger
little
ledge and standing on it. And you're like, how did you get up there?
Yeah.
But yeah, so they go to very, very extreme lengths to get it, and I thought it was insane that they grind their teeth down to the gums.
Yeah, that's insane.
Trying to get it.
Just to get some of that narcotic lichen.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, guys. We are not encouraging drugs.
We're just telling you about animals that do.
Yeah. And it is crazy that plants can create all of these alkaloids and substances. And I think the cool thing about it is like, they just do it for protection.
Yeah.
That's all it's for. They
often, literally just to protect themselves.
It's usually alkaloids, and alkaloids are alkaline. That's where the name alkaloids come from. So they usually have a high pH, and they're often very bitter, which is why the plants produce them to stop stuff from eating the plants.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes they have a little bit of funky effects, and then unfortunately their very clever adaptation becomes their downfall.
Yeah.
All right, what's your next one?
Okay, my next one is on dolphins.
Okay, dolphins. Oh yeah, dolphins are mammals.
So,
sorry, I forget things.
So basically, I'm gonna tell the story of how they noticed this. So BBC was filming a documentary.
As BBC.
A docu-series. It's called BBC. Spy in the Pod. And it's all about like dolphins and that kind of stuff. And while filming this, they noticed that dolphins would catch fish to eat food, and they would rip the fish apart instantly. Like, torn apart and swallowed straight. Yeah, they're quite vicious
hunters.
Okay. But they would catch puffer fish.
Okay.
And they would be very gentle with the puffer fish.
Okay, odd behavior.
Okay, it was very weird to see them literally go from tearing apart a fish to being very gentle with a puffer.
Maybe they were like, I'm sure their first thought was probably like symbiosis or something.
Yeah, and the more that they watched these dolphins, the more they realized that the dolphins were actually passing the puffer fish around to each other.
Okay.
So they would like hold them in their mouths and very gently, but basically pass them around to each other for a good 30 minutes to an hour before releasing it again.
And just letting it go on its way.
What they do is they make the puffer fish panic, because obviously the puffer fish thinks it's going to die. And so it releases toxins into the water, which it would use to get rid of predators. And the dolphins were getting high off of this neurotoxin. Oh my God. And what especially caught the attention of the researchers was that the dolphins would do this, like play around with the pufferfish for 30 minutes to an hour, and they would swim up to the surface of the water, and they would just stare at the surface of the water. So they were looking at their reflections and basically getting amused by this. And also, they would swim a lot more lethargically and everything.
That's crazy.
There isn't like as much info on this because it's very
specific.
It is very specific, but it hasn't been studied in that much depth. It's basically just they noticed this behavioral change in dolphins, getting high off of the pufferfish toxins, and obviously they're smart enough to know that keeping the pufferfish alive is your best option of getting more of it.
Yeah, that's clever.
And so they're very gentle with it.
They're very clever dolphins, which means they're kind of... Yeah, dolphins are a lot, guys. We all think they're so like cute and pretty, but dolphins are a lot.
They're clever.
They're spicy creatures. Yo. I would say the reason why we think dolphins are like perfect and we hate sharks is because of pretty privilege.
Totally.
Yeah. Guys,
you're more likely to die from a dolphin than you are a shark.
Yeah, you're more likely.
In the ocean.
And guys, sharks are so chill and they perform such an incredible ecological niche.
Yeah.
They're so... I love sharks. They do scare me, but I love them.
No, they're terrifying, but...
Yeah, all those teeth. I have a couple of extra ones. They're mostly fun.
Okay, yeah.
Have you heard of Cocaine Bear?
I've watched the movie. It's actually hilarious.
Okay, so the real story that inspired Cocaine Bear is actually kind of sad.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you anyway, because it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it is also kind of sad. Basically, and it's old, the cocaine. I thought the Cocaine Bear that inspired the movie happened recently. It happened in 1985.
It was a long time ago.
It was a while ago. Basically, there were these two bros who were drug dealers, as you are.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of drugs, but the police were on their tail. So they took a plane to escape the police in America, from somewhere in Georgia, or Texas. Yeah.
In the movie, it's Georgia.
The bear was found in Georgia, but they flew from Texas. That's what I was going to explain.
Okay.
And as they were flying, it was a small plane, and the guys were like, "Damn, bro, we can't fly. We're too heavy." So they dumped the cocaine out of the plane. It was something like 80 kilograms of cocaine. It was a huge amount of cocaine. Yeah. And they just dumped it into the wilderness, and then they landed. The plane crashed, and the one guy died. They think because his parachute didn't open, but body never found. Some conspiracy theory there. Anyway, the bear is important. So a couple of days later, they were trying to find where the cocaine was and everything, and they finally find it, and shortly away from the pile of cocaine, they find a dead bear.
Okay.
A female black bear. What is it with women in these stories and drugs? But it's all the stuff men put us through. That's why we turn to drugs. Anyway, so she was found a little bit away from it. She had died from an overdose.
Okay.
What was crazy was her stomach was packed full of cocaine.
Yeah.
And all of the cocaine had been ripped open and was sprayed everywhere.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was only about 2 or 3 grams. 5 to 8 grams, mixed up the number, 5 to 8 grams had diffused into her bloodstream, and that was enough to kill her.
Okay.
So what I've learned from this is humans are hella resilient when it comes to toxins.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that would kill an animal like that, and we're just like, do-do-do-do. But yeah, so unfortunately she did die. She was starting to decompose by the time they found her.
Okay.
She was then stuffed and put into an exhibit. They turned her into taxidermy because they thought it was so cool. And now you can find her at a mall in Georgia. Okay. But there's a whole conspiracy theory about it's not the original bear, which I thought was really funny.
Okay.
So they claim that it is, but everyone's like, nah, it's not the real bear. Something happened because it disappeared for a couple of years and then showed up in a pawn shop.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it was stolen and they couldn't find it, and then it showed up in a pawn shop. But there's a whole thing about how the bear at the mall is not the real bear. I also don't know why you would display a cocaine bear in a mall, but America's weird, so. But yeah, that's my weird little extra.
Cocaine bear.
I have one other thing, but I just wanted to check if you don't have something else.
No, I don't. You go for it.
A ton of native communities that have found narcotics found a lot of native cultures we call them native cultures, use narcotics and hallucinogenics in their spiritual practices.
Okay.
Particularly in places like the Amazon, northern Canada, parts of Europe. And a lot of them found it from watching animals. Okay. So they discovered these substances from watching animals consume them and go a bit...
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was really interesting that we actually learned it from them. So guys, we weren't the original drug seekers. It was the animals. Well, we are animals, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. The wilder animals than us.
True.
Yeah, I guess I'll go on to the question for the week. So we've spoken about a lot of animals getting drunk and high, and there is a very famous, I'm going to say folk tale, about the elephants and all that stuff eating fermented marula fruit and getting drunk. My question is this true, and how does it happen?
Yeah, that's our question.
That's my
little
question.
Bit of a more sciencey one than normal.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is episode 6.
But that's the end of episode 6.
That's the end of episode 6. Now we do our usual little...
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching.
Or listening.
Please like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube, or follow and leave us a review, preferably 5 stars. But if you don't want to give us 5 stars, please tell us why on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if that is where you are listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any stories of your dog getting drunk, I don't know, people leave beer out. Or you just have a funny animal or plant story for us, and you would like to share it, you can send us an email at irrelevantbracks@gmail.com, and we will send you an email back, and we will add it to our listeners' stories episode that we are currently collating.
Yeah, manifesting.
Yeah, all of those good things.
Yeah, we do want to do it, and it's going to be cool.
But yeah, also, I guess, just to say thank you for all of the support so far. We've just, in our timeline, in our multiverse, we've just released episode 2, and it's also done really well.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of support for it. And yeah, we're very grateful.
Yeah. Keep an eye on the Instagram and TikTok pages as well. We do upload all the pictures that we use in the episode for the audio listeners. And we also do bloopers and funny extras. So that's also done quite well. I must say that the Instagram and TikTok audience, we appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's everything.
All
right, guys. Have a good week. Don't do drugs. You shouldn't really drink either, but I won't tell you to do that. And and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.